Successful Minds with Patricia Baronowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Baronowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baronowski-Schneider. Today I'm joined by Kevin Palmieri, founder of Next Level University. So welcome, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so very much for having me, Patty. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just a guy who likes helping people. And I feel like that's what I've really always wanted to do. Eventually, I found podcasting, and I remember thinking if I could make this my full-time job, I'd be the most fulfilled human ever of all time. And here we are 1,800 episodes later, and now I get to do this for a living. So dreams have come true in many ways, but life is still challenging.
That's awesome. And it's funny when you say, I'm just a guy who likes helping people. That is something I wish the whole world would listen to. I always feel like I'm on another planet anymore. I'm like, what happened? But yeah.
Well, we're on the same planet for sure, Patty.
Now tell us, your journey took you from rock bottom to creating a top 100 podcast. It's inspiring. So can you share the pivotal moment that led you to turn your life around and focus on holistic self-improvement?
Yeah, I had achieved all of the external success that I had desired. I had a 6-figure income. I was in the best shape of my life because I was competing in a bodybuilding show. Nice. My girlfriend at the time was a model. I had a sports car. I quite literally had all of the external measures of success.
Wow.
But I was super unfulfilled. I was super insecure. I had low self-worth, low self-belief. I had never worked on myself internally. Mm-hmm. So my girlfriend at the time ended up leaving me because I was just a shell of myself. You would never imagine how depressed and anxious I was behind the scenes. It would be really hard to imagine that. Mm-hmm. When she left, I just convinced myself that I hadn't made enough money yet. Yeah, she left. Maybe if I go make a boatload of money, things will really, really change for me. Right. So I ended up spending the next year grinding my face off, trying to make as much money as possible, made the most money I'd ever made. And I still had a moment where I got to the end of the year and realized that I had been living my life unconsciously. I don't really know why I'm doing any of the things I'm doing. Right. Opposite of unconscious is hyperconscious. So in 2017, that's when this whole podcast thing started. So I started a podcast. I fell in love with podcasting as I fell out of love with my job, because I have already reached the pinnacle of what I'm going to do at my job. I do not want to do it again. Right. So I started calling out of work, and I started leaving work early, and I started showing up late. And my job required a ton of travel. So the year I made the most money, I spent 10 months living in hotels. Jeez. And it was, if you want to talk about homesick, my mental health really started to go down the toilet because every time I'd get ready to leave, I would be homesick, packing a suitcase, driving for a dozen hours somewhere. It was just terrible. So eventually it got to the point where I woke up in a hotel room on, I think it was a Monday morning. I was getting ready for work. And after I sat up, I slid to the edge of the bed in this crusty hotel. And it was like there was 10 televisions on in my head at the same time, and every single one was on a different station. And one was saying, "You're stuck here forever. Kev, people like you people who didn't go to college, people who were broke, people who didn't have their dad around. They don't get jobs like this. Never mind, leave them behind.
Right.
If you did leave, what would your friends think? You make a boatload of money, you take care of your friends, there's significance there. What would your family think? You make more money than anybody in your family. And do you really think you're going to be a podcaster? I mean, that's our plan B. I didn't have a plan A. I didn't have a plan B. I don't know if they make plans after this. I just didn't, So I was sitting on the edge of the bed thinking to myself, well, if I was to take my life, I'd take all my problems with me. And that was my rock bottom basement. There's really only two places to go from there. You either go through it or you go through it in the other way. You go through with it or you go through it. And I reached out to one of my buddies. He supported me in my time of need. And then I ended up leaving that job 3 or 4 months later to begin the journey of entrepreneurship.
No, sorry you had to go through that, but I always am a firm believer of just treat everybody good, because it's funny. I wrote a book, Life's Obstacles Can Be Your Greatest Motivators, and people judge a book by its cover, and you're always happy, you're always smiling, and they just think, oh, the world just handed you life on a platter, and you have no idea the crap that people are going through, and you're not alone. I mean, when it's always nice to. I'm glad now that people are talking more about it, because you never know what someone's going through, and they all always feel they're alone. But when you talk to everybody, really nobody's life is perfect. Some do have things better than others, but like you say, you could be the most successful person, doesn't mean you're happy, Right.
Well, even that's why I like to say I'm the most fulfilled and holistically, quote unquote, successful I've ever been, but my life is also the most challenging it's ever been. Right. I like it because this is privileged pressure and I signed up for it. Right. But trust me, the way you see me on this microphone is drastically different than what it looks like behind the scenes when I'm having a rough day. So I always like to throw that out there just for transparency.
Yeah, but people need to know. And life's, and it is true. Same with people think, oh, I want to aspire to be, they look at the social media, this actor, this musician, blah, blah, blah. And then you read the tabloids and it's kind of like, they're going through a divorce. This one's this one's that, this one's cancer, Everybody's not peaches and cream. People need a reality check sometimes.
100%.
Yeah. Now tell us, the Next Level University, it's impacted people all over the world. So what motivated you to start the podcast, and how'd you manage to grow it into a 1 million plus revenue business?
I don't know. I just wanted to have cool conversations with cool people in the beginning. That was it. I didn't want to be an influencer. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want any of that. I just remember hearing conversations that helped me raise my awareness. And I said, if I could do that, that would be so fulfilling. And it would be like I was doing something greater than myself for the first time ever. It would just be different. So it was really that. I did not have this grand scheme in mind. I had no idea any of this was going to happen. But when I ended up leaving my job, then we went all in. And it was, okay, we're going to try to figure out how to turn this into a business, because if we really say and we mean we want to help people, we have to find a way to make money. Because if we don't make money, this dream is going to die on the side of the road and we're not going to be able to impact anybody. Right. So it quickly evolved into a business. And a lot of it was just overcoming imposter syndrome and limiting beliefs and figuring out how to make money. But yeah, it all started from a place of, if I could be the type of person I needed when I was younger, that would be probably the best thing ever. Right. And then once I fell in love with that, I just wanted to figure out how to stay in the pool. So I had to learn how to swim, and I try to learn how to swim a little bit better every day.
That's awesome. And it's good because you have the passion to do this, and your goal is to help people, where
100%.
As opposed to other people who, I don't want to say everybody, there's other companies where it's just about making money. They kind of hear you, and you could tell as you're talking to them, they're kind of like, they're checking their phone. It's like, do you even care what I have to say? They're like, they didn't care. You paid, you're good to go. But you have a passion to help people, which, it's, there should be more of them around. It's just the world we live in. Everybody wants, takes, but nobody's giving back. And you're giving back, but in a sense where you have to, you have bills to pay too, but you're doing it in a way that's still helpful.
I appreciate it. Really cool. I appreciate it. Well, I just try to work with people the way I like to be worked with. I think that's just the simplest thing for me, is I just try to do it in a way that, number one, I can feel proud of at the end of the day. Right. And number two, if my wife was a client, I want to treat the clients like they are family, and I want to take care of people that way too, and listeners and all that. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows, obviously. I mean, going on to my next question, you've recorded over 2,600 episodes. I mean, that's huge. So what are some of the key factors that have contributed to maintaining such a high consistency and quality in your podcast?
One, I have a business partner, so I always have built-in accountability. If I don't want to do it, it doesn't matter because he's there waiting. If he doesn't want to do it, it doesn't matter because I'm there waiting. So that's a huge piece of it, is it doesn't matter how I'm feeling because there's somebody there waiting for me. So that's part one. Part two, pretty early on, we started making that a part of our identity. We said we are consistent human beings. And eventually it got to the point where we said we're going to do an episode every single day and we are never going to miss. It doesn't matter if I'm traveling to get married, we will figure out a way to do it. And we're never going to miss an episode. And it's really hard to behave outside of what you feel your identity is. So that's another one. And I always believed it would be worth it. I never doubted whether or not this whole thing would be worth it. So it's easy to pay for something. It's easy to pay for a promise that you think is worth it. So for me, it was always, I love this. I believe it'll be worth it to do this. I'm going to just keep doing it. And then eventually you cross a threshold. I don't know, it might have been like 300 episodes. After 300, what, am I just going to stop now? We've been doing this long enough. I think it's easier to keep going than it is to stop. So it just became, this is part of my life now. This is outside of my family. This is my number one priority. And we will never miss an episode because the best way to grow is to be more consistent than anybody else. And if I'm going to tell the audience that we are going to help them grow every day, we better be there in their pockets to do it. So it was all of those things. And I'm a bodybuilder. So for me, consistency is everything. And I understand if I'm not in the gym, I'm probably not going to get results. If I'm not in front of the microphone, I'm probably not going to get results either.
Keeping yourself accountable. I mean, that's a big thing because I know a lot of people, if they're accountable to somebody else, they just make up stuff. I mean, the proof is in the pudding here. You don't do it every day. People are going to notice. So you can't just lie and say, I did it. You know? Yeah, I'm
going to look like a big liar, Patty. If I miss an episode, I'm going to look like a big liar.
Yeah, but keeping yourself accountable, even with your partner. I mean, you kind of cheer each other on, and you need that, you know, because you do want to separate it from your home life, you know, but at the same time, we're more, like I always say, you spend more time at work than you do at home anyway. So this is your other family, and you keep yourself, you know, motivated, accountable, and it's a good team that you guys got.
I appreciate it. The goal dictates it too. That's the other thing too, is I never set out, when I set out, it was to podcast and then eventually do it full time. Cool. That happened. And then when we started setting like real specific meaningful goals, it became, we want to have the most positively impactful self-improvement company on the planet. So I can't miss episodes. That is not what the most successful in terms of positive impact self-improvement company would do. They would never miss. So the goal has dictated all of the beneficial byproducts of it. It's just, you don't see we haven't accomplished the goal yet. So it just looks like we're in the process, which we are.
But it's great because even nowadays, like I even noticed like on this podcast, it goes, you know, on YouTube. And now, like I said, everybody nowadays is on Roku and all that, which is on television as well. So they're getting even bigger, better exposure. So you're helping people in so many ways. You're one, letting them talk about who they are, what they do, and why it's important to everybody else. But then giving exposure not only for them, but for people who might not have otherwise seen it. You know, so it's a win-win all around, which is great.
Of course. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned a little bit. So in your mid-20s, despite having what many would consider a perfect life, you found yourself in a dark place. So how did you address and overcome your anxiety and depression? I guess there's a lot of people out there that might want to know how you did it.
Yeah, this one's always very hard for me because when I left my job, my depression pretty much went away. It was a night and day difference when I left my job. But my anxiety got drastically worse because I went from certainty of knowing where the next paycheck was coming from to all of the uncertainty of, I have no idea how I'm going to pay my bills. I'm living on credit cards. We're traveling now to places to try to learn, and I'm terrified of planes. So I was having panic attacks pretty regularly in the beginning, which was very challenging. This is what I can say, and to speak to that. People tell you to get outside of your comfort zone. They don't tell you how far to get outside your comfort zone. I went way too far too fast. So if you feel like right now you have a level 3 courage, do level 4 fear chasing, not level 10 fear chasing, because it's most likely going to create some form of anxiety or overwhelm or triggering or whatever, right? Little T trauma, whatever it may be. That's probably the best advice I can give. There's a lot of people out there that tell you if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. I do not agree with that. I think a lot of us are scared of life because life is hard and life is scary and the world can be a scary place. The last thing I want for you is for your goals to scare you because you're going to run away from them, not towards them.
Right.
So I think it's the same with our fears. Face the fear that you're comfortable facing, but don't face a fear so big that it's going to be a trauma for you.
Right.
I did that and it made my anxiety much worse. Now I've come around where I'm much more resilient, which is good, but I don't want anybody to have to go through the journey and doing it the way that I did it.
Right.
So that's probably the best advice I could give on that.
No, that's great advice. I mean, it is true. Like when you say life's scary, I always say, I see like I have kids and grandkids and all that. And, everybody has questions, anxiety. Nobody knows I'm like, I wish life came with an instruction manual. You don't have it. It's kind of winging it. And you can't copy what someone else does. They're different people, different personalities, different jobs, everything. So it's kind of like having a good support system around you is like fundamental, because you're going to have days that you just collapse and it's like, I thought I had it. I thought I was, but you have to know you're not alone and we support you. We got your back, get back up on that horse,
Yeah, that's the human experience. It just is the way it is. You're not going to win every day. You just can't. You most likely won't lose every day though either. It's just, hopefully it's somewhere in between.
Exactly. That tells you emphasize a heart-driven but no BS approach to self-improvement. So can you explain what this approach entails and how it's helped you and your listeners achieve personal growth?
Yeah, so to us, heart-driven but no BS means I love you and I care about you deeply enough to tell you the actual truth. And the no BS is I will not sugarcoat it to the degree that it doesn't need to be sugarcoated.
Right.
Everything comes from a place of love. I don't want to tell somebody a truth just to hurt them. I don't want that.
Right.
But I believe that awareness is one of the biggest issues in the world, because when people get taken advantage of, they get taken advantage of because somebody with higher awareness knows they have lower awareness. That's all it is. If you go to get your car fixed, they can tell you any number if you don't know anything about cars. Exactly. We have to fix your dinosaur bone. It's going to be $7,000. Like, yeah, no, that sounds about right. Yeah. Right? I just don't want that for anybody in life.
Right.
Holistic to us is life, love, health, and wealth. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in your relationships. I don't want you to not have money. I want you to have an understanding of how to make more money and spend less money and all that stuff. Because I think when it comes to life, we all have relationships in some way, shape, or form. Most of us are going to work with money in some way, shape, or form in our lives. And we have ourselves as the vessel. So physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. I think the way it's helped the community as much as it's helped me is a lot of advice out there in the world is on the polarities. So it's either grind your face off and don't see your family, or if it's meant to be, it'll be. You don't really have to work that hard. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, from my perspective. And there are some people watching this right now who need to grind harder. There are also some of you right now who probably need to take the weekend off and spend time with your family.
Right.
But it all depends on the person, their core values, their core beliefs, and their core aspirations. So yeah, we try to take a more balanced approach to dream chasing, because if it's not sustainable, it's most likely not going to work anyway. Yeah. And that's kind of the unique approach that we've tried to take. And I think it's done really, really well for the audience and the community, as well as it's done for me and my business partner, Alan.
Right. I mean, it is great advice, because most people don't know. Like I was one of those who way back when had to work, 18-hour days. I didn't know, I did what I had to do. That's what they told me to do, blah, blah, blah. But, no one cared how that, I went through all sorts of emotional stress because of it. It's like, but if there was somebody nowadays who could say there's a happy medium, let's help you get there.
Yeah.
As healthy as I am, I'm going to be more productive for you anyway. So can't we all just get along?
For sure. For sure. Well, the other thing that I've really started to lean into is I don't really care, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I don't really care what somebody's goals are. I care more about the lifestyle that they're willing to live while they pursue them.
Right.
Because if you come to me and say, I want to do 1,800 podcast episodes. Awesome. Love it. Are you willing to do an episode every single day for the rest of your life? Yes or no? Right. If you're not, that goal might not actually serve you. So I'm really trying to look at it from that perspective now of if the goal doesn't serve you, it probably isn't the right goal for you in the first place. And that's okay. Let's make that okay.
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus, what I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
Yeah. That makes total sense, because I don't know if everybody, it's nice to say it, but do you know what's involved in doing that?
Right.
The same with someone says, well, I want to make, 6 figures and I want to do it within 6 months. You're probably going to work 18-hour days, 7 days a week, blah, blah, blah. You're never going to see your family. Forget about school. That show you watched, forget it, put it on DVR. I mean, are you aware that you have to put this, or let's figure out another way to get you there, but having someone with some experience to help them, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now tell us, you've been a guest on over 825 podcasts. So what common themes or questions do you find that most resonate with audiences across different platforms?
Usually somehow, no matter what the show is, no matter what it's about, we usually end up talking about self-belief and self-worth and how they are connected / interconnected and how it shows up for people. I used to think either you had self-belief or you didn't, and that was the game. Right. Either Patty believes that Patty can do it, or Patty doesn't believe that Patty can do it. That's a piece of it.
Right.
But there's also a question of either Patty thinks Patty deserves the result, or Patty doesn't think Patty deserves the result. Right. That's a whole another thing. And then I used to think that everybody was afraid of failure. Aren't we all trying to be successful? Isn't that what we're trying to do?
Right.
Then I found out my business partner is actually afraid of success. Because every time he succeeds, unfortunately, he gets villainized or he ends up outgrowing people. So he learned to play small when I thought we were doing this to be quote unquote successful. Right. So that has become a very often topic for me. It's something that we talk about a lot because I don't know how many people actually talk about that. Yeah. And we've studied it a lot, and we have a very unique perspective because my business partner is the polar opposite of me. He's an engineer and he's a genius and he's a math whiz. I am none of those things. So we've learned a lot about the other side of the polarity, like we were talking about, through each other. And then vulnerability is usually a big one. When people see me now, I think they assume I'm super confident and I'm super all the things. I still deal with insecurities. I still have imposter syndrome. I still have self-doubt. That's something I like to talk about as much as it doesn't feel good to talk about. Because even when you do get to the goal, quote unquote, there's still a lot of work to be done internally. And I think that's an important thing to talk about openly.
Right. And I think it's all good because it resonates. Years ago, these stuff were taboo. Nobody talked about it. Yeah. But now people are becoming more and more open. And I think that's what's really good, because even when you see celebrities on TV, when they'll talk about their depression and how they almost killed themselves and blah, 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 it's like, never in a million years did I know that. And like you look at them like you have everything, I'm just a nobody, but everybody has their own, issues. And I think, it's great that people are starting to talk about it and make them feel not at home. So
I agree.
While people might say, oh, well, that's not really a business topic, it just resonates with the world at this point. It doesn't have to be just in your hometown. This is the world, so I think they're good topics, and you get a lot of people, who are, benefiting from it,
Yeah. Well, and you're the business too. That's the thing. Yeah. The business will not grow and sustain more than you've grown. It can grow there, but things are going to go wrong, and it's going to reveal pieces of you that you're not ready to see yet.
Yeah. Now tell us, consistency and commitments, they're crucial for success. So what habits and mindset shifts do you believe are essential for maintaining these qualities in both your personal and professional life?
Consistency, I'm convinced that there's two D's when it comes to consistency. There's just all out discipline. Right. And there's design. So it's way easier for me to be consistent as a podcaster when my office is always set up, everything is always here. I just come on, flick a switch, and all the lights come on, and we're good to go. Right. It's by design to make discipline less. Right. So I think one of the best ways to be more consistent is to make the barrier to entry for your consistency lower. Okay. If you struggle with going to the gym in the morning because you wake up and you don't feel like doing it, put your mix your pre-workout and put it in the fridge, put your AirPods next to the door, put your keys next to the door, your shoes next to the door, all of your clothes out, all of that stuff, and design your environment to create less resistance for success.
Yeah.
Just like on the opposite front, if you play too many video games, one surefire way to play less is every time you're done, take the console, take it off of where it is, put it in the closet, wrap it up. So every time you do it, you have to go through that process. Okay. And I think that helps with commitment too. I would say one of the most common things when it comes to commitment is people don't actually know if they believe the result will be worth it. You are not going to commit to something that you do not believe will be worth it. It wouldn't make logical sense to do it. Right. So it's always a conversation for me of, do you ultimately believe it will be worth it? Right. Do you think it's humanly possible for you? Right? Can you actually do it? Because if you don't think it's possible and you don't think it's going to be worth it, you're not going to be committed. And then last thing, just kind of a dessert course to add on, make it more than yourself. You will be committed to something if it is greater than yourself. It's not about you. It's not about your success. It's not about that. It's about something deeper, something more meaningful. Maybe it's for your family. Maybe it's for your kids. Maybe it's for your parents, whatever. Obviously, you can take that too far, but I think that does help with commitment.
Right. It's funny when you say about like obstacles, like same with me. I get up in the morning and I do my workout like before I do anything, because it's so much easier to say, hit snooze, I'm going to sleep a half hour. I'll just go at lunchtime, or I'll do it after work. Something always comes up. The phone rang, there's 50,000 things that could interfere. But at least if you do it before you even do anything, what excuse do you have? You got it out of the way.
100%.
And then I could say, well, it's boring. I hate it. Well, I tape all my favorite shows. So now I have to watch it because I want to know where'd that leave off. You know, you can find ways to make stuff happen. You have to have that motivation. And
for sure.
Yeah. But I think it's all awesome. Now, can you share a success story from one of your listeners or clients that particularly stands out to you? And what lessons can our audience take from their experience?
Yeah, this one's my favorite of all time. Somebody reached out to me on Snapchat. We were using Snapchat back then. We don't use it anymore, but they reached out to me and they said, hey, Kev, I am in school. They're in college. And I am struggling to start conversations and to make friends because I don't know how to really start conversations with strangers. Mm-hmm. And this person lived locally to me. So I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to meet you at the mall and I'm going to help you fear chase. And we are going to talk to strangers. And she said, okay, all right, let's do it. So we decided on a date. We decided on a day to do it. So we meet, hug it out. First of all, don't ever do this with anybody. That's what I said to her. Don't do this with anybody. Like, it's me, so we're good, but please be careful.
Be refraining, what is it, a refraining order or something?
Yeah. You got to be very careful. Stranger danger, my friend. So we got coffee to kind of calm the nerves. And then we went into this store that sold these giant beanbag chairs. And I said, this is us fear chasing. We're getting outside of our comfort zone. I'm going to set you up for the right amount to get outside your comfort zone so we can be constructive. All you have to do is go start a conversation with the person behind the desk. And here's how you start the conversation. You just walk up and say, I was looking at that beanbag over there. How much does it cost? And she said, no. They're going to get mad at me. I said, nobody's buying these beanbags. They're probably bored.
They'll probably give you a cup of coffee for asking.
Yeah, right? Like, just go. They're going to be happy you started a conversation with them. Right. She does it. It goes really well. Cool. We go to another store. We do it. Another store. We do it. Another store. Then now, as she's getting more comfortable and confident in the moment, we go down the food court. Same thing. Ask them how it's cooked. How much do you get? How much if you want to substitute it? Whatever. Right. Questions don't even matter. I don't care about the result. We're just fear chasing. Then she's just starting conversation with strangers on the escalator. It's all working out. Awesome. So we're getting ready to leave that day, and there are these mechanical zoo animals on wheels that you can rent. Right. And we're walking by them, and she said, if we were really brave, we would rent those. And I said, oh my goodness, what have I done? What have I created here? I've created a monster. So I have a video on my phone of us riding those around the mall. Somebody who didn't think she could start conversation with strangers was literally looking to be judged by the end of the day. Then she ended up going back to school later in life. A couple of years later, she didn't feel like she was smart enough to go back to school. She ended up going back to school. She came and worked on our team for several years. Then she moved from a small town in Rhode Island to Nashville, Tennessee, and got one of her dream jobs. And that was all over the course of a few years, maybe 4 years, 5 years. And that was just fear chasing, getting outside of her comfort zone the right amount, learning about herself, working on her self-awareness, strengths, weaknesses, limiting beliefs, all that. So her life is drastically different than it was at the beginning. Now, am I able to do that with everyone now? No, I can't go to the mall with everybody as much as I wish I could. But it's just a good example of it wasn't something that happened overnight.
Right.
It was something that happened a little bit every day. And then you look back and you say, oh my goodness, things have changed so much. Well, you've changed so much. Of course, things have changed with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. It's funny because I listened to another interview with somebody else who was a podcaster. And I remember the team was telling them, here's this person there just totally, fluent on everything now. But when they said, they were like, I remember when you did your very first one, you were scared to death. You were like, sweating through your clothes, and it's amazing. But once you get that confidence, you realize what you're capable of, and you need somebody to kind of help break you out of that little mold.
Yeah,
but that's
it definitely
an awesome
helps.
Story.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much.
Now tell us, balancing various aspects of life, such as health, wealth, and relationship, it's challenging. So how do you integrate these elements into your holistic self-improvement strategy?
I use the word juggling, not balance.
Okay.
and again, nothing against balance. I just, for me, balance suggests 50-50. And nothing in my life is 50-50. And I don't know if it's ever going to be. It really is, for me, it's scheduling. So I go to bed every night at 10. I wake up every day at 6 a.m. Not telling you should do that. Not telling you that's the right way to do it. Right. The first 4 hours of my day are kind of for me. Back office work. I go to the gym. I do my mobility. I shower. I hang with my wife for a couple minutes before work. And then 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I am public facing. So I do interviews, coaching calls, speeches, whatever. And then essentially from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. is family time. Right. So in the morning, I have kind of me time for health. Right. From 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. is kind of wealth. I'm working on the business. Right. And then from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. is love. So health, wealth, love is built in now. Very transparently, in the beginning, it was not that way. It was mostly wealth and trying to grow the business. There were bouts where a lot of it was health and it was less business. Right. But right now, I would say I'm in the best routine I've been in, where I feel it's very sustainable. Right. It's producing very aligned results in all three facets. Right. And yeah, it feels right. It feels like it's the right way to do it right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's a conversation of sitting down at the end of the week and saying, did I actually fill up the cups or the buckets that mean the most to me? Is my relationship bucket filled? Right. Am I meeting my partner's love languages? Are my love languages being met? Right. Am I taking care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Am I anxious? Am I, well, okay, let me look at that. Right. And then how did I do in terms of money this week? Spend money, make money, where am I? Right. That's a really good place to start. And then just understanding that there's seasons. Yeah. You talked about the 16, 18-hour days. That happens, right? That happens. But I went away for 2 weeks to Scotland and I didn't work almost at all. Seasons change and seasons are for reasons. So not everything's going to be the same all the time. Yeah.
I mean, that's good that you're adaptable and you have a realistic approach because, I know some people who I don't know what fairy tales they listen to, but they just want this job that they skip to every day and it's great and they make a fortune and life is just great. And it's like that's not really how life works. Like people always tell me when I'm always saying, but that's life. They're like, stop saying that. But I'm like, I'm being realistic. That's life. Yeah. You have to be adaptable. I don't want to say have unrealistic expectations, but find not the balance, but find a way to juggle it so that it balances the best for you. Uh-huh. And and then there's, happiness, but being aware and being realistic, that's a huge part. So I think that's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So now tell us, looking ahead, what are your future goals for Next Level University? And how do you plan to continue evolving and impacting lives through your work?
Ooh, this is always a challenging one because the goal is to have the most successful self-improvement company on the planet which I understand is wildly, wildly unrealistic. I know, but
aim for the stars. Go for it.
Right. We're going for it. And what it will take to get even remotely close or just stay on this path will create a lot of opportunities and growth in me. So that's a beautiful piece of it. It's just staying consistent. It's staying consistent and it's staying humble. It's the fact that no matter how many episodes we do or the kind words that I get, there is always going to be an opportunity for growth for me. There's always going to be an opportunity to get a little bit better, to be a little bit wiser, to be more supportive of my wife, a better leader, a better business partner, a better communicator, a better podcast guest. It's holding the dualities of maybe I am the best I've ever been at this, but I'm also the worst I'll ever be again. And it's holding those two together.
Right.
And that's going to continue the evolution and the growth.
Right.
So that's something that I have to do for a living anyway. I can't, if I stop growing, I'm not going to be able to pour into the audience. So that's something that through discipline, through commitment, through consistency is something that'll just continue to happen.
But that's awesome. You don't want to be stale, because I know so many people, they just kind of set it and forget it. That's just how they are. They don't, I mean, the world changes every day. The whole industry changes every day. You have to evolve, keep up with the times, change, blah, blah, blah. But if you're just going to kind of keep doing what you always do and just hope for the best, you're going to be left in the dust. So you have to, I always say we're always a work in progress. It never stops.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Now, anything else you want to talk about that we didn't touch on yet, or any future plans and any good stuff?
No, I would just say do something today that your future self is going to thank you for. Right? It's if we can reverse engineer regret, we can avoid a lot of regret. Yeah. But it's a conscious, intentional process. And I wish I knew that earlier, and I wish I started practicing it earlier. So I think maybe that's a little bit of an awareness that I'd like to share with people. Yeah.
Nice. Good words. Now, how could people get a hold of you or learn more about you and get in touch with you?
I appreciate it. Just search Next Level University. We're on all the podcast platforms, YouTube, all that. And then our website is nextleveluniverse.com. That has all the stuff that you need to know. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, so you'll see if it's something you're interested in.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Kevin Palmieri. So thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing. So thank you again.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best and grow, scale, and win.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Baronowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear